This is Steve Higgins, and I am assistant professor of English at Lewis and Clark Community College in Godfrey, Illinois, St. Louis area. And I'm presenting today on a book called Jar of Fools. I don't know, those of you that are here interested in this, how many of you have read Jar of Fools?
I've seen it, and I haven't had a chance to read it, but I...
Yeah, it really is a fantastic book, and in a way, what I'm doing today is kind of like a plug for you should read it. It's kind of a lost gem in some regards, because Jason Lutes, the artist, author of the book, is best known now for his historical work, Berlin, in which he's got this incredibly detailed and very clean, wonderful artwork. But his early work is much less known. It was originally serialized in the early 90s, and has been available in trade paperback from various companies since then. And his work here is obviously not as polished as his work in Berlin, but his art style is still very strong and detailed, and he has a use of visual imagery as metaphor that I think in some ways here is actually a little bit better than in Berlin, because it's much more direct in a lot of ways. And that visual imagery as metaphor, as symbol for what each character is going through. And so we're going to go through this today to kind of show you what some of that imagery is, basically. For those of you, well, for all of you, who haven't read Jar of Fools, basically what it's about is the guy who's slumped over next to the car there is Ernie Weiss. He's the main character of the story. And he's a booze-soaked magician who has kind of been on this downward spiral into alcoholism since the death of his brother, Howard, who was an escape artist. Howard died very publicly while performing an escape. He jumped off a bridge with a ball and chain attached to him, and he was in a straitjacket, and he died during the attempt at this escape. However, Ernie is suspicious that this was an impossible escape, and Howard knew that, and he went into it intending for this to be, the end for him. That he was basically committing suicide, but doing it in a very public way. And so obviously, your brother commits suicide, you're going to have a lot of baggage as a result of that. And it's visually represented in the story, often by, you see in the trunk of this car here, the straitjacket and the ball and chain itself. In the scene, Ernie has been presented with these items as kind of like a gift. Oh, we got these back for you. And he, of course, is stunned emotionally, almost completely numb as a result of the fact that he's seen a ghost. And he actually sees a ghost quite literally. I don't know how well you can read that. Throughout the series, he sees his brother in places, and he has dreams. In this dream sequence, he was watching a movie on TV, and he fell asleep while watching the movie. And he became the main character of the movie and picked up a hitchhiker that was his brother. All through this scene here, you can see that the brother is asking for him to help buckle him into the ball and chain and to basically commit suicide. He keeps saying, "No, I'm not going to help you," but then he does. That's kind of to represent that Ernie feels, in a way, responsible for what happened to his brother. So he's got a lot of issues relating to his brother's suicide. Now, another main character in the story is his ex-girlfriend, Esther. The two of them were dating at the time of Howard's suicide, and in fact, well, I'll show you in a minute that the two of them were together at the exact moment that Howard died. Ernie was supposed to be at the escape. but Ernie wasn't there. He was with Esther. And so as a result, their relationship has dissolved. Esther basically feels a connection with Howard, felt a connection with Howard, and you can see in her dream sequence here, the two of them are in bed together, but Howard is there too. And it's like Howard is this wall in their relationship, that she wants to be intimate with Ernie, but because of Howard's presence in this page, literal presence, but of course it's more metaphorical and figurative, the two of them can't be intimate. Now the reason why they were not actually at the escape was because they were having sex at the time instead. And so as a result, this is a pretty big issue for both Ernie and Esther. It's like they can't look at each other. Both of them feel so responsible for the fact that they were having sex instead of being there. Ernie feels like if I hadn't been having sex with you, I could have been there for my brother and maybe helped him and maybe he wouldn't be dead. And Esther too feels like my sexuality was what was like the barrier for him getting help. And so because of that, she's got a lot of baggage too. We'll get into all this a little bit more later.